Hey guys, thank you so much for joining this session. This is Swami, and today we'll be discussing on the .NET 8 and how do we deploy that binaries to EC2. So that's the session today. So this is a meetup group. You can see. So every now and then we'll be conducting events. So November 17th today is this event, and we have two events planned in December. And January planning I'll do a little later, but this is the one which we will be covering today. And this is my main GitHub repo where you will find a lot of the samples. Or I myself am a continuous learner. I'll be learning something or other. So all the speaker series you will find in this repo, speaker series 2024. And when you go into that, what you will be finding is you'll finding different folders. Like if I navigate back to the speaker series folder, you will see a lot of these folders, and you will be seeing the month and date. And at the same time, you can see over here, and today's session is November 17th. Okay, you click on that, you'll come here. So the entire demo script, what are we going to do today, is in here, and also the source code location is also available here when you click on the source code. So whatever the source code which we are going to discuss today, it is over here. So all the links are there. So just for the benefit, I'll post these two links over here. Just give me a minute. I will post it here, and this one also I'll post it here. So you will have everything handy. Okay. So I just posted those two. Now, I'm still a learner. Apologize if I do any mistake. I feel I just know a single drop in a big ocean. So apologize. I am a lifelong learner. And what are we going to do today? So we'll look at the big picture. The big picture is like we create a web API or a minimal API or some kind of application using .NET. And we'll be able to test that on our local machine. How we'll be able to deploy that? Assuming that we want to use the infrastructure as a service. That means we want to use the compute power, but we will decide the folders and other security things we want to decide. So in that case, how do we do that? So that's what is mine. Like if you select the platform as a service, what happens is the infrastructure itself will go into the cloud provider's hands. Like if we will see this picture, IS versus, like this is a very good image. Yep. So I think this is a pretty good one. I mean, everything is good, but I'm just selecting this one. Like if you see the infrastructure as a service, where is that image? Like if you see the infrastructure as an image, so the cloud provider is responsible for this virtualization, server storage, and networking. Operating system and the runtime and application is our responsibility. I think we have to select the virtual machine one, this one. So this shows a little bit different picture. So we'll use this one. Like if you see, we don't need container as a service. So that might be the reason they're giving different images. Now this is the correct one. Yes. Now, if you see that On-premise will be having all these things, and the same whatever we discuss, the virtualization, server, storage, networking will be the responsibility of the cloud provider, and middleware, runtime, data, and application. This is ours. Now, operating system, middleware, runtime, these things will be the responsibility of the cloud provider if we choose the PaaS. So here, our scenario for today is we want to write some web API or some application, and we want to deploy that into the infrastructure as a service model, so that we'll have a little bit more control on these things. So you can see this, these three blocks are our responsibility if you're going to use the infrastructure as a service. So that's about this one. So roughly we'll go to each and every block and we'll quickly see that. Before that, I'll have a glass of water. Just give me a minute. So we saw the big picture. Now we'll be spending some time, a decent 10-15 minutes on the web API, and we'll be verifying that on the local box. And then we'll work on the creating new EC2. Mostly I work in Azure, so I call it as a virtual machine. Sometimes flipping between EC2's virtual machine. So I was sticking to compute. Okay, it's a computing power. So it's a neutral term I'm using. Okay, so even if I call it as a virtual machine or EC2, I'm pointing to the infrastructure as a service compute. We'll see that, and then we will speak about the inbound ports, and from the security perspective, why it is needed, and installing .NET 8. Now .NET has come out, and couple months from now, maybe February or March, the .NET 10 will be coming into this world, at least the preview .NET 10. Like if you see that, .NET 9, let's go to .NET 9, and let's see, go and look at this, the .NET site. You will see, go back one step, and you can see that all these are out of support now. 6, 7, November 12th, that's gone. .NET 6 is gone, and .NET 7 is gone long ago. And right now, the .NET 8, and .NET 8 is good till November 2026. So we do definitely have 2 more years from now. So 2025 and 2026. So that's when we'll have, in between we'll have this .NET 10. Now, if you see that .NET 10, how did they release? All the time you can see that the versions, how did they release this? They start with previews. So if you go and look at the preview, this should be somewhere in February, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So this will be in February. So February 2024 was .NET 9, and February 2025, I assume that .NET 10 preview will come in. So I want to stay on the bleeding edge of the technology. We have to stick to the long-term release until unless you have a very specific use case, you want to go on the short term, and you want to use those features and immediately upgrade to the next long-term support. It's well and good, but we need to be testing it, and we are sure that we are going to enroll to the next long-term support. So this is .NET 8 and .NET 9. So we are sticking to .NET 8. So if I come back here and double click this, you see that we are using the .NET .8. So this the long-term support one we are using it, and we'll see that how do we install and then how do we publish the binaries on our local, and how do we push the binaries from our local box to the this one to the EC2 machine. We'll see that, and then we'll speak about verifying how can we execute this .NET uh, Web API from within the EC2, and then the ninth block is verify the .NET 8 Web API outside the EC2. Now, here we were able to verify within the EC2, but how can we do the same outside the EC2? And then we will be executing that as a service. Okay, so we need to do little bit of coding. Configuration. I'm sorry, it's not coding. A little bit of configuration. We need to do that and verify whether the service is enabled or not. So this is one of the things which we can verify. The first thing, if I paste this over here, this is the service. We'll come back to that. And now it says that it is inactive and it is dead. So we'll not be able to validate it, but we'll come back to that. We'll go step by step. Okay. So that's the long way to go. So let's start with the first block of verifying this one. So now if you see that there are a lot of websites, they publish the data, seeing that .NET 8 is blazingly fast. And other platforms, they themselves call that comparing to their programming language. At least I saw 2 videos where the author was telling that .NET is more powerful than the programming language he was using in the video. So that's one thing, motivation why we should use .NET 8. And what is that we are going to do is that we will see this is already baked in code. And this is all-in-one architecture. This all-in-one architecture, I'm using minimal API. And we see that we have AutoMapper, Open API, in-memory, and there's a cache, and swashbuckle, and Serilog. Okay, so there is nothing which is stopping us from using any of the architectural patterns if you're using minimal API. So mostly we see it's very simple to write everything within the program.cs itself. We can write a class, we can write the endpoints, and we can start using it. Everything in a single place. So we can do that, or we can have pretty similar to what we used to have in the controllers. So similarly, I just create a folder called endpoints. Like how do we have a folder for controllers? Similarly, I created a folder for endpoints and moved that over there. So it's nothing is going to stop you. So it's all how do you want to do, but I just taking the bits and pieces from the clean architecture and domain-driven design, I put it everything in respective folders. Now, if you see application core, business logic layer, and the configuration and data is very specific for entities and DTOs, and these are extensions and something related to the persistence where you have the DB context and the seed data and the repository. Now, if you see that, if you want to move this to a domain-driven design or clean architecture or layered architecture, onion architecture, or different architectures, you can again move these folders into the respective libraries and use those libraries. I mean, nothing is stopping us from using those things. Okay, so that's one thing. So now let's start from data. Now if you see data, we have a base entity which has got the GUID ID as a GUID, and rest of the auditing type of fields, like when it was created, created by whom, when it was modified, modified by whom. And other entities, they don't need to maintain these fields, like entity, created date, modified date, created by, modified by. Like if we have 5 entities, at least at 5 places, we don't need to replicate these 5 fields, whatever we had it in the base entity. So 5 files are 25. We are saving a lot of those things. So we are moving that in the base entity and using this. Another thing is, suppose if we want to add more of the fields which are very common, those will come into the base entity, and respective entities will have only the fields which are very specific to that particular entity. And you can see that from the DTO's perspective, like mostly this will be followed in Node.js, where it gives us a unified response no matter what you call, whether you say, whether you invoke a method to retrieve all the courses or course by ID, or add a course, remove a course, patch a course, put a course, or delete a course. You do anything, but it gives a pretty much like a success boolean and a message and a data field. Now anything will be in that data field, whether it be it a collection of courses or a single course or boolean values or anything, or null, empty, everything will come in this data field. So that's what I got inspired from the Node kind of programming. So I just wanted to try this. I tried it. I liked it. And now you can see that create course DTO. So when you are creating, we don't want the user to give us a ID. So ID should be generated from the system, not by the user who's trying to create it. So we don't have the ID field, and you can see that we are using records. So it's a little bit performant, as this is immutable. You don't want to change the moment you create the set of rows. We just spit out of the API. And you can see that in the courses DTO, we are extending the create course DTO, and here we are adding GUID. So apart from all the fields which are in the create course DTO, it will have one additional field, GUID. Okay, that's about the data. And the next thing what we will be speaking about is the persistence. Let me come back to this and let's see the persistence. Now the model, this is a DB context. We have only one table, courses, and we're creating the apply configuration. That means we want to seed some information like a data. So that is what we are having here. Set of courses, just populated everything with admin. And you can see that on model creating, we are applying the configuration. I'm just directly giving the courses data. And also, if we have multiple tables, this is where we can configure the relationship. Like so-and-so table should have one or more of like a single course will be taught by one tutor or couple of tutors, or one tutor might teach one course or multiple courses. So something of those kind, we can define it here inside the on model creating. And once you have the data and persistence layer, then comes the repository. So what will repository do? Repository will use the DB context and perform its job. So now people are reaching the DB context in a controlled fashion. So they will go and hit the repository, and repository is the guy who talks to the DB context. And there's a mapper, and if you see the configuration is the one here, you can see the mapper. So we will have from course to course DTO and course to create course DTO. Like if you want to create a course, so we'll be sending the course, create course, and it should be converted into course and sent to this one. So this was the one. Actually, I have to modify this. This is a wrong thing, because repository should not worry on the data transformation. So the data transformation, technically, it belongs in the business logic layer. It should happen in this layer. This is on me. I'll take care. I'll modify this code. So after that repository layer, we will be going and discussing about the business logic layer, and the business logic layer utilizes the repository to get it work done. And you can see that here we are sending the unified response API response DTO. This is constant, whether it is a hello world default APIs or anything, but all the time we are sending the response. And you can see that that's a pretty good, it's a generic one. So this generic one, whatever is coming it will go and fit in the data. Now you can see that the data is of this type. So that goes and fits into any type, whether I'm sending it a string as in data, or whether I'm sending a collection of records or a single record or multiple records. So that's about, so we are able to cover data, we are able to cover persistence, repositories, and business logic layer. And configuration is just maps, which we have seen that. And another layer what I want to cover is this common is very specific. You can see that inside the common we have constants, and we have the constants class, and there's a subclass inside that, and that's a partial class. And you can see that just to avoid those magic strings, I have used this, and this was one of the things which I learned it from Steve Smith at AWS. In one of his course I was watching, and he was using this constant, and I really liked it, because all the things which you want to use it, you can move that in one centralized location, and you can use this across the solution. So that's about the constants. And we'll see the interfaces, be it a business logic layer or be it the repository layer. We will be defining everything in the application core. And then comes the extension method. Before going into the endpoints, let's go and see the extension methods. So if you see that here we have the program.cs, where we will be doing the service collection container as well as the HTTP pipeline. So both are here. So this is the service collection. We will be adding all the services to this one. Here you can see that we are adding the DB context, we have add automapper, and we are adding the business logic layer, repository, and these are the Swagger related one. Here we are adding the cars. And HTTP pipeline, you can see that we are using the ensure created on the database, but that I've wrapped it inside the development. I don't want this to get executed in the production. So similarly, if you see that Swagger also, we don't want to get displayed in the anything more than dev environment. Okay, dev is the one which we can experiment, so that's fine. And Swagger or cars or this database one, we don't want that to be moved away. So that's the one. And now we'll quickly see this endpoints. So so here you can see that we have a static class and we have public static void map course endpoints. There are multiple ways to do that. If you see the hello world, this has been done in a different way. Now you can see that endpoint builder route, endpoint builder, and this is also endpoint builder. Now see this here, we are creating the map group. Okay. So where we can see that define endpoint, all the endpoints with a prefix. Now, whereas here in the hello world, we are using the routes dot map get. We are not using group. I mean, but we have to give the tags and with name over there. But you can see that the tags, we are not giving the tags here, but we have given the tag over here. So now if we execute it, we'll see the difference. And two things is, one is the prefix, we'll see that difference, and one is the tag. Let's see that difference. Now if you see that here we are giving the prefix over here, like whether be it a root or API or anything. But here, when you're doing a group, we are adding the prefix there itself and the with tag. Now, if you go and look at that, now you see this course, and you can come and correlate that with the with tags name of course. It's coming over here. Now, if you go with the hello world endpoints, now you can see that all the tags hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world. So here, all these four endpoints are being wrapped together based on the tags. So we are saying that hello world, it's all over here. Now can go and click on try and execute it. So all the data which were pushed into the in-memory database using the seed data, we are able to see that, and you can see that beautiful Serilog things and what happened, how many milliseconds it took, all the things which you can see that will be over here. So this is about the the local testing. So that's the second block which we have covered. Now let's come back and create a new ECS. Now let me try this host name. Okay, that's the host name. That's good. Now if we come back here, now I can say launch instance. Now we are discussing about this third block. And here you can see that we can give a name, and whatever the name which we give it, and that will be shown in the instance list over here. See this, these are the names which I've given. So all these names you can see over that, but let's quickly go, but we'll not create it. I already have multiple instances. So here we can search the application and OS. Now you can correlate the image which we were seeing few minutes ago. Now whether it's a Mac OS or whether you want the Amazon Linux or Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, a lot of things are there. So you can select it, and also you can see that some of the virtual machines are eligible for the free tier, and some of the things are not. So you need to see that what is that you want to use it, and you can go and check this. A lot of these things are there. So based on the usage and the business requirement, you'll be able to select it and see that 16 vCPUs, and also see the pricing. What is that it is going to cost? Like Windows base pricing is 1.4 USD per hour, and if you see that which one is little cheap is the Linux base, it's 0.68 USD. So you need to select that. The OS you have to select, and you can see that We can quickly go and select the Mac OS also, the ARM one, and we can see this is the price of that. I think looks like those are not available. The only thing which is available is this current generation. I don't know about this pricing, but we need to be very careful when you're using the pricing. So key pair is very important for that. So I have the existing keys which I stored it here on my local box. So I'll be using that. PEM uh, is the one key pair, and I'll show you how to convert that into PEM to PPK. So if you go and see that dot PEM to PPK. Now to convert PEM to PPK, we can use the puttigen. I think that's what I used it. Yeah, this one, puttigen. We can do that, or there are other methods, but I used puttigen. There are a lot of videos are out there, but it's a very simple thing. And another thing is network. We need to have the network security group. It's very SSH. Do you want to allow SSH from everywhere? This is high risk item, or from my virtual machine or my IP address. If you see that 5259, so let's go and what is my IP? Now, if you go to this one, let's give it a minute. So see this 5259 195. So we are saying that we should be able to log in, do an SSH into that EC2 from either anywhere or only from my public IP address. So we need to be very specific uh, what IP addresses we should allow. And also we can see whether you want to allow the HTTP traffic or HTTPS traffic and how much storage and a little bit of advanced things. You can select it over here, whether you want to do the shutdown or termination, stop process, or all those things like purchasing capacity or spot instances, which comes for little bit cheaper price, and reservation. Do you want to use it for 1 year or 2 years, or how many years you want to reserve this capacity? How is that you want to pay? And a lot of these things you have to go, but I never went that deep. I'm just letting you know that. So once we are able to create it, it will come and show whether either it shows as a running or running, and here it is pending. So until the status checks, you can see that two of those status checks, it will be showing as a running, but here in the status checks, it shows as pending. You can see this status and alarm, like the two of the instance status checks and system status checks, both are on. And here, if you can see that it shows the public IP address and all these things. And let's come to the security perspective. And here you can see that this is where it is very important. We are punching the hole in the firewall. Okay. So here you can see that here you can have the different security groups and do the change. But from our perspective, the security, the inbound firewall rules are inbound rules are very important. Like the traffic which is coming from the internet into the EC2 is very important. We are allowing 22, that is SSH. We are allowing traffic 80. That means we should be able to hit directly, or whether it is 5000 or 5001. So this is for HTTPS and this is for HTTP. So that's one point. So initially we enable this one, and then you can see that installing .NET 8 is this one. So you can select this, come back to this instance, and I'll paste it. I mean, it's already installed, but let's see. Um, so that is one command. We can use it. And again, I've given the links also for that. And publishing the binaries to the local folder. So how do we publish that? So right mouse click on this and click on publish. And here you can see the target location bin release .NET 8 publish. It is going to that, and we can navigate. And if you want to edit some of those things, you can click on that. It will come here. Now it shows the connection. Because this is a local folder, we don't need to worry about it. But settings, what is that? Framework independent or self-contained, and what is the runtime which you want to select, like whether it is for AMD or ARM, what kind of operating system, whether it is Windows or Mac OS or Linux. A lot of those configuration. I'm just keeping it as it is. So just wanted to show you that. You can click on more options and see that. And here it shows the all the settings. We are coming back from there, and here publish option. You can say that delete all existing files prior to publish. So that means it does a cleanup, and database connections we did not specify. So these are the things which we need to know that, and just I click on publish. So if at all there is a compile time issue or something is missing, then you will see that it will not be able to publish it, because first it tries to build it, then only it goes and publishes it. You can see that first thing it is trying to build, and then it is publishing. Now I can come back to this, and you see the timestamp 1711. It's 9:37 a.m. India time. Some of the things are a little bit older timestamp, but some of the things are clean. I mean, the current timestamp. Now, how do we push the binaries into the EC2? So we can do a couple of things. We can save the PEM to PPK if you want to log in using PuTTY, or log in into EC2 using WinSCP. So WinSCP will convert the PEM to PPK. Okay, let's see that. WinSCP, this is the pretty nice tool, which I like it a lot. And let's come back to the details. I want the public IP. I just copied it. And let me create a new site. And this is the one which I'm giving. And let's go to the advanced. Okay. And here, authentication. And you can select it. Okay. So if you see that, this is the one, PEM. So if you give that, do you want to convert OpenSSH private key to PuTTY format, so PPK. So as I was mentioning in the documentation, like you can use PuTTY. If you use PuTTY, you need to do this, open that, and open the PEM, and you need to save the private key. And here what happens is, if you select the PEM, it asks, do you want to convert it? So I already did that, so I'm not doing it. So I have, let me save this. Oh, I don't need to save because this is a one-time thing. I'm just trying to connect it, authentication. So the username is very important. So let me come back to this one. Is Ubuntu. Where is that? You can see that it's over here, Ubuntu. And please ensure that that is what you need to copy. It's not that Ubuntu OS, because I could have given some other name for that. So whatever the name which we are giving is not the operating system name, but that's the username which we are using. So the proof is, if you come back over here, you see that that's the username and the IP address. So now we are able to into the login into the Ubuntu machine. So you can see that that's the Ubuntu machine right now. We can come back. This is the user one. This is the home, root, home, and Ubuntu. Let's see that. I'll come back over here. pwd print working directory. So home and Ubuntu. You can see that home and Ubuntu. Now within this Ubuntu, if I specify ls, it is web API in AWS. So you see that web API in AWS. I can create new folder here, but just want to keep it things to minimum. Now you can see that the timestamp is on September. See that? So the timestamp of the files. Okay, let's see that school API, that DLL. Let's see that. That's on 28th September. So this one, you can see that it is the 11th November. So what I'll do is I'll select all from this, and I want to push it to here. I said yes to all. Okay. So when I select yes to all, I mean, you have to be very careful whether be it opening of the port from the security perspective, be very, very careful. I'm giving a free hand because this is my sample programs and the community service as part of AWS Builder. I'm doing it. So I am fine opening the port to the entire world. Even if someone get it to that machine, I don't have any secrets there. So it's a low risk item for me. But when you're doing in production, please ensure that you are very, very secure. And okay, now you can see that the timestamp was 28 September. We saw that, and now it has turned into 11, November 17th. So we'll come back over here and let's do that verification. CD web API. I just did that, and ls-l. Okay, you can see that the November 17th. So those timestamps also, you can see that some of the things are old, and this is the one which is just now we created it. That's the November 17th. Okay, that's cool, man. So we did that and verify. So how do we verify? So first, let's come back over this to this and up to this, and let me do a clean, and I'll paste this. Now you can see that .NET 8. Now let's go back to eight. What was the number? It was 8011. 8011. So we are on the latest bleeding edge of the technology. So that's one thing. And the second thing is we can execute specifying the URLs. There might be some problem, but we will hunt it down because I would have used it. Now you can see that now the application has started, and we are able to uh, see that it shows that it is executing. Okay, so we need to open another instance and we can do the net SSH. So let's do that. Action, I say connect and click on connect. So it opens the second instance of the same machine. So it's a public IP. So it opens the second instance and we can do the so you can see that here the 5000, this one. Local host 5000. Oh, sorry, I. Okay, so we got that. Hello, minimal API. When you go to route, so that's what it gives us. So if you come back over here, when you go to the route, what you will get? Hello, minimal API world from root. The same thing we are getting it when we go to the route. So that means this minimal API is working on EC2. Okay, see this, you are seeing that multiple times we are hitting it. I'll kill it. So we were able to validate that. So we can do that. Okay, the multiple ways are there. So let's come back and let's see those options also real quick. I'll come back to the another instance. And we saw this curl of this. I'll paste it. So it gave that hello, and let me do this courses. And I'll paste it. So you can see that it gave a empty data because if we come back to the extension methods, here in the pipeline, we said that do the seeding of the data. Here, the seeding, ensure that it has created the seeding, everything we said only if it is a development environment. But if you come and see this, here when we started, the hosting environment, it says it is a production. So we put in a condition that the seeding of data or ensuring that the migration and the database creation happens only if it is our development environment. But here it is a production environment, so it is not going to do all those things. So let me kill this and clear that off. Okay. Now we want to verify, are we able to, we deployed it inside the EC2, are we able to go ahead and access it from outside with the public IP address. Okay, so now what we will do is we need to ensure that these ports are open. We just validated it. So what we do is we will be executing this command. I'll come back here and I'll execute this command. Just I want to show you one simple difference. So here, if you see this local host versus here, you're seeing that we are specifying 000. So that means what is happening is now we are opening this to the entire world. So anyone can come and hit us. So now you can see that this is over here. Now what we can do is copy the public IP address and this and go to a I paste it and 5,000. So that means we are coming on the okay. That means we are coming on the HTTP port here. Oh, not HTTPS. It should be on HTTP port. That was my mistake. So you can see that here we gave HTTP is 5,000, HTTPS is 5,001. So we came on 5,000. That means we should be on HTTP, not on HTTPS. Now, if you want to hit on HTTPS, so please ensure that that is 5,001. So when you go to 5,001, it should be HTTPS. But when you're coming on HTTP, it should be see this because doesn't have a valid certificate it is giving. So we are able to hit the API which we hosted within the EC2 from outside the EC2. And the catch is if you give it as localhost, it will not. So you need to specify 000. That means you're allowing anyone to come and hit it. That is most dangerous thing to do on this face of earth. So please ensure whatever I'm showing is some of the nitty-gritties how things works, but please do not use this in your production environment and invite problems for yourself. So that's about this one. We were able to validate that. And now the another way also we can do it. I just wanted to show you that also, even though it takes some time, but let's discuss that one also. Where is that app settings? Okay. It's over here. So other way, what we can do is we can add those URLs here, and that's where we will be able to do that. So that I specified back in 2021, I assume. Yes, this one. If we go back to the session. See that couple of years ago, installing .NET 6 was so very lengthy commands. Now you don't have to go through all those things, and most of the things are same. So here, as I was mentioning, URLs, whatever the URLs which we specified it on the command, now we can go ahead and update this app settings, like update app settings file with these URLs. So either way you can do. So we are doing it in another fashion where you're not touching the bits which was deployed, but when you're executing, you say that expose these URLs using so and so. But 3 years ago, I used to do update the app settings file itself. Okay, so this is a other method which we can do. So this section 9 also we have covered. So session 10. See, session 10 is every time I come in here, I have to go and validate it. I'll kill one of this instance. I have to go and validate it whether the things are working or not. I have to take a lot of these things. So let's take a little bit of shortcut for the time being. So what I will do is I will go ahead and check the status of this. We'll come back and look at the service I've given in the documentation because we have 5-6 minutes time. We'll quickly see that and then we'll discuss. So right now, if you see that um it is it is inactive. So what we can do is we can start that service. We'll come back and we'll look at the service, where it is located and other things, but at least we'll see that we are able to start the service, we are able to access it. Now I can go back and look at the status. Now you see that it shows active and running. Previously it said it inactive and dead. Now it is running. Now again, you can see that this is executing in the 5000 with local host. That's one thing. And here we are able to access it within the same environment. That means we have already seen that when you execute something as a local host, that means that is within the box, we should be able to access it. We can do the curl again on this one, because it is right now it is running as a service. So we don't need it. It will not hold the control, but it will be executing it as a service. And I can see that, okay, I don't need that -i. Now this is, it is coming, and /API/courses. I can see that the data is coming as an empty array. That means it shows that we didn't seed the data, nothing else. We didn't seed the data technically. Now I can see we can go to this system, etc system D system folder, and within that you will be able to see this file. So you can do the sudo nano. Let me show you that. So I'll come back over here. I'll do a clear and paste this one, and we can see we are specifying this is a .NET Core Web API, and the working directory is so and so, and we have given this a very small instructions, and then with that it will be able to executing it as a service. So all the time you need to ensure that the particular service is running. Okay, so now if I come back to this one, previously we saw that when we executed HTTP, we were able to get to the root. That's what we were able to get it. But when we are executing this as a service, we didn't expose the URLs using the 0.0.0. You can clearly see that here we exposed, we started the service as localhost 5000. We didn't specify the URLs. Now, if we have seen in the previous instance, let's come back and kill this once again. The service, let me stop the service. I'll come back over here and I'll stop the service. And now let me go back and start it with this one 0.0. Now if I go and hit that, it will go and hit it properly. And on top of this, I can specify API courses. I'll get an empty data, because and I expose it using 0.0.0 and the port number. That means now whatever the service, whatever the API which is running inside the box will be available to outside world. The only catch is you need to ensure that the EC2 instance has got the respective inbound ports enabled. Now you can see that the port 5000 and 5001, I have opened it. So that is the reason it is allowing. Now you can see that I can go back over here to this security group, and you can see that this is the security group ID, and now I can edit the inbound rules. So whatever the things which I want, I can do it, but be very, very cautious. This is like a keys of the kingdom, 0 or 0. Anyone can come and hit us. So you need to be extra careful when you're doing this. So that's it from my side. So what is there in the next month's episode? Next month we'll try to put an Nginx into this, or I can directly start. Now this session we learned how to do with this Ubuntu box. I can try something new with the Windows box with iOS. So I don't know. Let me spend some time and see what is that I can bring in. Maybe the mix of Nginx and IIS. I'm not sure about this one, but we'll see. Whatever is feasible, I'll do my best. And thank you so much for joining. Bye. See you in the next episode.